guys, welcome back to Iron Game Chalk Talk. I'm your host, McKeefery, and this is episode number 43. Iron Game Chalk Talk is a weekly podcast where I bring experts in the field to talk shop. If you've not already done so, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes or YouTube, or go to my website, McKeefery.com, and join the mailing list so that you get weekly updates as well as just reminders of the shows each week. On the website, we make sure to bring you all the show notes as well so that you have all the links that we mention in each episode. This week, I'm excited to have Coach Gail Hatch with us. Coach Hatch is a legend in the profession. There really doesn't need an introduction. He's on the USA Weightlifting Hall of Fame, USA Strength and Conditioning Coaches Hall of Fame. He was the 2004 Olympic weightlifting coach for the men's team. His athletes have been 53 national championships. He's got 50-plus athletes on international teams. He's had 3 on U.S. Olympic teams and 12 on U.S. World teams. We talk a little bit about the Hatch system and how it's had great success, not only with himself and the athletes he's trained, but on various different college programs across the country. We talk a lot about the growth of the profession. He's had over 35 plus years in it, so the good, the bad, the ugly, from his standpoint on where this profession is. We talk about a little bit of his training, teaching progressions, which is a real treat, and then some of the common mistakes that he sees going on in different programs. So, I know you're really going to enjoy this episode. Before we get going, I want to make sure that we recognize Elite Form and Ignition APG for being the sponsors of Iron Game Chalk Talk. And making it completely free to those that watch. They're committed to giving back to this profession, so please take a moment to thank them when you get an opportunity. Elite Form is the sponsor of this show. Elite Form is a sports science company that's creating technology to help evaluate athletes and enhance strength training sessions. Their Power Tracker, their Strength Planner, and their paperless app, I'm telling you, are game changers. There are things that when you walk through the showroom floor at the different shows, you walk by and you're immediately wow. And programs are having some great success with their products. To get a free trial, a 30-day trial of the Strength Planner, go to or email IGCT at eliteform.com, IGCT at eliteform.com, and Skip and the guys will hook you up with a free 30-day trial. Check it out, and I'm telling you, it's a great product that will definitely make things a lot easier for the strength coach. Lastly, if you enjoy these podcasts, you will definitely enjoy strength-ondemand.com. Strength-on-demand is an archive of strength and conditioning clinic presentations that you can access from anywhere you have an internet connection on your time. It's a great way to sharpen the sword each week. Make sure to go to the site and check it out when you get a chance. Okay, let's get going with this week's episode with Coach Gail Hatch. Well, guys, if you've been in the profession for any length of time, then the guy on the other line of this doesn't need an introduction. But Coach Gail Hatch, one of the legends in our field, has come on Iron Game Chalk Talk. And so, Coach, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, it's a great honor, and great to speak to the strength coaches, and especially the young strength coaches out there.
Coach, you really don't need any introduction, but tell everybody a little bit about how you got into strength and conditioning, and then kind of the path you've taken to get to where you're currently at.
Well, I was very lucky. My mentor was Alvin Roy, the first professional strength and conditioning coach, and back in the 50s, Alvin had a program that included probably the finest high school athletes in the Baton Rouge area ever. In that program that we trained on Oklahoma Street, besides myself was Billy Cannon, future national trophy winner, Jimmy Taylor, NFL Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer, Bob Pettit went on to be NBA Hall of Famer, many more, Moody Winston, Johnny Robinson, and a lot of members of LSU's first 58 national championship team. Alvin was over in Paris as a soldier, and the American team was there to lift at the World Championships. And they assigned Alvin as a gopher to just whatever Bob Hoffman wanted, who was the head coach of the Olympic team and the godfather of weightlifting in America. He would go get it. But he noticed these Olympic lifters that they were not muscle bound. Coaches didn't want their football players or other athletes training with weights because they thought it'd make it muscle bound. These guys were flexible, explosive, and so he learned what he could from Bob. And when he came to Baton Rouge, he started this on the Oklahoma Street, just a few miles from the LSU campus. And when he served as a voluntary coach for Paul Diesel and the LSU Tigers, the national championship. Then Sid Gilman noticed what he was doing, and he talked to Alvin about doing something for his team. So Alvin worked with the San Diego Chargers and won the World Championships, and then he went on to work with Kansas City, Dallas, Oakland, and so on and so forth. So he's officially the first strength coach in the NFL, and at the same time, a gentleman by the name of Louis Rickey that was training at Alvin's place, who would go on to be an Olympian and set a world record in the snatch in 1964. And he was very helpful to me in learning more about the Olympic lifts. So that was a great background that I had, and that's the basis for the hatch system. Now, the hatch system is the base of the Olympic lifts of the snatch, clean, jerk, front squat, back squat, snatch pull, clean pull, overhead squat. And they're system exercises, plus combined with basic strength work and plyometrics and jumps. And you could put it all together. And we've been very fortunate with the 15 BCS national championships. My proteges that have trained directly underneath me have won BCS national championships. And some of these names, I started Tommy Moffat off when he was in high school, and he wanted to learn as much as he could, and he would come in and we'd work, and Tommy got 2 BCS national championships, and then I got Scott Cochran over at Alabama, and just to let you people know, Scott was just as loud and crazy when he was 13 as he is now with Alabama. But when he's in that weight room, he knows what he's doing. He's got 3 BCS national championships. Vic Valorio at Florida State, he just won the BCS national championship along with his assistant Joe Danos, who's now with the New York Giants as assistant strength coach. Johnny Long started my program when he was 9 years old. He won with him and John Smith, who won the first BCS national championship in 1998. And so those guys put together won a total of 8 BCS national championships, and we're proud of them. Now, you know, there's all kinds of strength programs out there, and I not any of them, and I don't try to push my program on any of them. I'm in Baton Rouge, and people that want to learn about it are come down to the tax home, as they call it, and spend time with me in Baton Rouge, and I will work with them and teach them and do as much as I can to help them. We have coaches from all over the NFL and college football that come down and spend time, and we try to help them out.
Well, I can attest to that. I've had a chance to come down there and visit with you, and I went down and saw Tommy one time and came over and spent a day with you, and completely hospitable, more than welcoming, and I couldn't have appreciated it more and learned a ton and just in that one day. Coach, can you go a little bit more into the hatch system and as far as a programming standpoint? Kind of what's done on what. I know it's obviously built around the clean, the jerk, the snatch. What's kind of done on what days, how many days a week, how has it had such great success through all these programs?
Well, you get into program designing then, and what we'll do as far as the monthly cycle is concerned, we'll have what we call 3 heavy weeks, an unloading week, and then we'll start back up again. But you can mix it up. But a standard would be you can snatch, clean, jerk, and pull on one day. Then you can squat on another day. And you have one day that you use for system exercises like behind the neck jerks, power snatches, power cleans, top to bottom snatches, top to bottom cleans. Of course, we do benches and incline too. That's also in our program. It just doesn't rank at in the top 5 of priority list, but we do benches and incline. So each coach can put a little switch to the hatch system, and it will be his own. Like Tommy can have something a little different than what Vic does at Florida State or what Scott does at Alabama. But when you get right down to it and examine it, they still have what we call the hatch kick. The snatch, clean, the cross squat, the back squat, the snatch pull, the clean pull, and the overhead squat, which is a tremendous exercise for developing strength and balance. My competitors, those guys who work up to over 400 pounds on that, and that's with the butt going down between the ankles. to a lot of college, you can't find a 300-pound lineman that can't do a regular back squat. So it shows you the strength and balance, and a great exercise to develop the core. And we're also proud of our Olympic weightlifting team. I was the head coach of the 2004 U.S. Olympic team, and we were selected as the best long-term program in U.S. during the 20th century. My teams have now won a total of 54 senior and junior national championships. We're extremely proud of those guys.
Now, I've had a chance to watch you work with your athletes and how how bought in they are into the program, how bought in they are into you as a coach. Obviously, all the success plays into that, but that only goes so far. It really comes down to your interactions with them and the love that you show towards them. And I know that that they that you do that. I've seen it in action. Talk a little bit about the importance of getting your athletes to buy into a program, a system, not necessarily just a hatch system, but any system.
Well, in our case, you look up on the wall and you see 54 national championship banners, and you look on the wall and you see our large posters of the guys that made the Olympic team and the world team and the Pan American teams. So the environment is so tremendous when they come in, and then I have a talk with them and let them know that, if one of my Olympians come in here and talk to you, they're going to tell you one thing. You say yes sir and no sir and what's next.
That's right.
And, and if they do good, they get a coach hatch handshake. If they're real stern with them, then I'll get stern with them. But it's very structured and very disciplined. I'm an old school coach, I guess, as old school as you can get. But, still don't allow earrings to be worn while the workout's going on, or do-rags or anything like that. Now, I understand the culture nowadays. When they get outside, they can put it back on. But while they're there, that's just the way it is. And like I told one young man, I trained Ward Dunn for 12 years, I said, Ward just signed a $40 million contract. Now, if I'm not going to let him wear earrings in here, I'm darn sure I'm going to let you wear them in here. The strange run about that, I've never had one athlete ever complain about that. They just said, yes, sir, and never said, oh, well, leave. Never, not one. So, they just, then all you got to do is watch me coach my athletes.
Right.
See what these guys are doing, the amount of weight that they're handling. And, they buy in pretty quick. It's not a real tough problem to get them to buy into the
I hear you. You've had an opportunity throughout your career to see, strength and conditioning grow as a profession. From nothing, starting with Alvin Roy and, Boyd Epley and on through through the ranks there. What are some of the things that you see in the profession that, some tremendous strides, and then what are some things that you think still could get better?
Well, I believe that good money has only been made within the last 12 or 15 years. Before that, strength coach was probably the last man on the totem pole. And that's what I had a talk with John Dean at LSU. I said, now your next strength coach, you need to pay him a decent salary to get somebody out here. And I would say that I would say probably the last 12 to 14 years that we've seen strength coaches and these head football coaches and athletic directors realize the importance of strength coaching, and so they're now paying their strength coaches good salaries. And Tommy and Scott and Vic are good examples of that. But young strength coaches need to learn as much as they can. Learn what you can about the hack system. Learn what you can learn from what they're doing at Clemson, or some use a powerlifting type program. Some few still do bodybuilding, and others do machines. Now, when Saban came to LSU from Michigan State, there was machines that he used over there. And Tommy was going to interview for the job. I said, one thing, Tommy, you got to tell him you're going to use your system, that you're not going to be a whistleblower and just blow the guys go from one machine to another. If you do that, you're not going to be happy and you won't stay very long. So he had a discussion with Coach Saban, and Coach Saban said, yes, you can run your system, but I'm going to have to dig in on the running program. And he did. But Tommy is my number one man on the hatch tree for the current era. Before that, it would have been Brad Rowe. I started out at Southwestern, making $16,000 or $17,000. Then he went to Kansas. And he said, Coach, man, Oklahoma kills them every year. I said, they got a pretty good basketball team over there. Take that job. And Danny Manning led Kansas to the national championship. Then he called me up one day and he said, Coach, I got the best coaching job in America. Really? Yes, because of you. Because of what you talking about the Olympic lifts and so on and so forth. I said, well, where is it? He said, University of Miami. So I went over there and it was a part of 2 national championships at Miami.
Yep.
Now it's with the Cleveland Browns, and I'll be doggone. And I would say he's probably a year or 2 away from retirement now. So that's how I helped Tommy get the job at Miami. Tommy asked me to call the athletic director, and I did. And I told him I had a guy that reminded me a lot of Brad Rowe. And they said, "Oh yeah, we're familiar with Brad." I said, "He's real aggressive. He's funky. He knows what he's doing." He uses a similar system that Brad used. We call the ACT system. Mm-hmm. And so Tommy went to Miami, go over there with Butch Davis, stayed there 3 years, and then got the job at LSU. And just has had a really good career and has had an impact on a lot of young strength coaches. He used to write on the board. The first thing he would do is go see Coach Hatch. That helped him out because some of the coaches and assistants that didn't know about the Olympic lifts, they would come to my training center. I would teach them, prepare them, and then send them back over to Tommy, and they were ready to go and get in there and start working without time to take all that time to train them.
That's right.
And they kept staying in touch with me the whole time they were out there, and we helped them move on to other jobs.
No, I know he thinks the world of you for sure, and that was the first thing he told me when I came to visit him was to go see Coach Hatch. So we made sure we happened. You talk about obviously about the Olympic lifts, and I'm sure you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, when it comes to teaching the Olympic lifts. What are some things that you're seeing college strength and conditioning coaches or college athletes performing the Olympic lifts? What are some of the mistakes that you're seeing with that?
Some of the same mistakes I'm seeing in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Because a coach somewhere has the Olympic lifts in their program, that does not mean that he is doing the hack system. Because number one, he's not teaching them proper technique, okay? Number two, he's not placing them in the workout at the right time, at the right spots. He would actually be better off not having Olympic lifts in his program, because there you take a chance of getting people hurt. Now, we just had an influx of CrossFitters coming to us and learning about how to do the Olympic lifts properly, and that's very good, because there have been some pretty serious injuries. But you've got to, and the thing about it is, you want to get strong, you can have halfway good technique, but if you want to get super strong, you got to have really good technique, excellent technique, to get up to that super level of strength and explosive power. I like to describe to young coaches that if you got two 13-year-old kids and you start one off and he's doing bench presses and curls, you got the other kid and he's going to do power cleans and back squats. You train them for 2 years, and then you line them up against each other, let them run into each other. The kid that's been doing the power cleans and back squats is going to drive the other kid right through the wall. That's where your strength comes from. You got to have it in the legs. And even Michael Jordan, even though he had kind of skinny legs, he had really, really strong legs and explosive legs. So explosive power, speed, strength, flexibility, that's what we want to develop in an athlete. Kurt Hester was a strength coach when Skip Bergman won his back-to-back 96, 97 baseball national championship, and they used the hack system and set a home run record in 96 or 7 that I don't think will ever be broken. So it will work for any type of sport.
Sure. When you see a lot of this bad technique and that you're seeing is coming from these group training sessions or having 40, 50 athletes in the weight room at a time, if you were working, if you were at LSU training the athletes over there and it's two big groups, offense, defense, or something along those lines, how would you go about implementing or teaching the Olympic lifts from scratch?
Well, we call it the Hatch holistic method. There's two ways of teaching the Olympic lifts. That's from the top to bottom, and then the holistic methods. And this comes from the Russians and Bulgarians. The Russians like to teach it from top to bottom, and the Bulgarians say that there's no scientific evidence that teaching the holistic method isn't better than breaking it down. So you start off, we do, is teaching the back squat, high bar back squat first. That's the king of the lifts. Not a powerlifting back squat, but a high bar Olympic style back squat. Then from there, we teach them the front squat. Now that does two things. It hits the quadriceps more, and it develops the receiving position in the front for the clean. Some people are real inflexible trying to catch the power clean. So the front squat helps develop that receiving position. Then from there, we teach the clean pull from the floor. So all the way full clean pull from the floor. Then next we teach the power clean. And then from the power clean, we can teach all the way into the squat clean. Then we go to the jerk, and we just put hands on hips, and we're teaching the proper split. Take a step and a half with the front foot, 2 steps back with the back foot, pointing straight ahead, and not out to the side like a lot of kids in the split jerk will do. Their toe will go out to the side. You should look for that again. Put that toe straight ahead or slightly in. Then we put a little ball around there, lightweight, and work up with that. And then we go to the snatch pull. We teach the full snatch pull, and the full snatch pull from that to the power snatch, then the power snatch and overhead squat, and then from that to the full snatch. And you can get this done in one day, one session.
Really?
One session, you can have a kid doing the full lift. So, but what you do in a group session, if you got one guy that's supposed to be doing 85%, this technique breaks down, you have to drop that weight down. You got to drop him back down to 80%.
Yeah.
To where he's doing good technique. Now, he can't take 85%, so they can do perfect technique with 80%, then you let him jump to 85. That's really the art of coaching. You can have 2 guys side by side scheduled to hit the same thing, but if one of them gets to a point and his technique is breaking down, you hold him where you let the other kid go ahead and move on up. So that's what you can't do. You can't walk in a room, write it down on a piece of paper and put it on the wall, and then go out some horses. You can't do that. You got to be in the eye of the storm. That's what every single coach I tell them. You got to be in the eye of the storm. Like come to LSU, Alabama, Florida State, Florida, anywhere. They better be out there, not sitting in the office selling vitamins.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I agree 100% with that. You know you've been there and you've done that. You know what do you do now to kind of I know you're a lifelong learner. You're not in this business long enough. As long as a career as you have without being a lifelong learner, what are some of the resources and maybe books or websites or things that you look at now to continue to sharpen the sword?
But it's just amazing now with the internet. So you can just get all type of information, and you want to study everything that you have access to. You read what this guy is doing here, read what this guy is doing over there, and just find out as much as you can. Now, another important thing I do with my athletes when I bring them in, I teach them how to read. Because, I spent the whole 70s researching all these different programs from the Russians, Bulgarians, the Poles, the whole thing. But, so there's a lot of bad stuff out there. So I teach these proteges of mine how to read, and they see something to notice. Well, wait, this is crap here. I know this isn't right. Let me call Coach Hatch up and see if I have it. I'm telling you, you're right. You're doing good. You're learning how to read. You don't just accept everything. So it's good to have all that information out there, but then also you have to know how to read, and don't be afraid to ask questions. There's not a coach in America, high school, college, or pro, that can't call me up and ask me a question. I will answer every single call or email that's sent to them. Now, I'll give you a good example of one of my favorite coaches. His name is Johnny Parker. Now, this is after he had won, I think it was 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He called me up from New England. He said, Coach, I'm not just sure if I still have that correct technique on the floor. He said, I'll come down to see you and just get a refresher course on this. And I said, come on down. And so here's a man that's already considered, along with Al Miller, the best strength coaches in the NFL, but he still wants to learn and still wants to, and so he came to Baton Rouge. And he walked the door, and the director said, you're here to talk to Coach Hatch? And Johnny told him, no, I'm not here to talk to Coach Hatch. I pick up the phone and want to talk to him. I'm here to learn from him. So I always think that's a good story, and I tell it to a lot of my coaches.
That's a fantastic story.
Yeah, we're welcome, and we're here to help people doing that. It's a junior high coach. They walk in, they come in with a good attitude, and boy, you can tell. You can tell who's really got. Like I could tell Tommy right from the start. I could tell Johnny Parker right from the start. I mean, it's just Brad Rowe. There's just something about them that these guys, they want to be in it for the long haul.
Well, I can attest to that. You've answered every question that I've ever had and given me, a lot more than I anticipated. So I appreciate that. I know the other coaches that reach out to you appreciate it as well. The last question I have for you, Coach, this is something that just, I've kind of always thought about with my athletes. We build these guys up for 4 years, 5 years sometimes, and and some of these guys are pretty good lifters by the time they walk out of the 5-year program, and not every one of them are going to go play NFL football. If for these strength coaches out there listening that have athletes that could be competitive Olympic lifters, or at least start to learn to be a competitive Olympic lifter, what steps would you recommend for them to take to get their athletes, to show them another avenue to continue to compete like we all us former athletes are continually trying to do?
Well, that's to answer a question that I'm asked a lot. Where do you get your athletes from? Where I get them from is out of my strength and conditioning program. I wear two hats, Olympic weightlifting coach and strength and conditioning coach. So the majority of the kids that's come to me over the years, 90% of them come to me to improve for football, basketball, wrestling, whatever. Then the ones that show potential for competitive weightlifting, since the lifts are in the strength program, then they discover another sport besides the one that they came to me from.
Right.
So other coaches around the country, if they find young men like that are not going to be good enough to make it into pros, what they want to do is look around and find the nearest, or call me up, and I will tell them if they're in Pennsylvania or something. They call me up, and I'll tell them to where they can find somebody that is a good Olympic coach, and see if that young man can make a trip and visit him, and see if they can connect and start on his next career.
Yeah, I think it's such an important thing that we invest so much in these guys. That we have an obligation to continue to help them to find ways to feed that competitive spirit after they get done playing ball.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what's good about Olympic weightlifting. You reach your prime in your late 20s, 28 to 32, so you graduate from college at 21 or 22, and you still got a 10-year career in an Olympic sport, and people kind of hear the word Olympian and kind of take it for granted, but you really run into true Olympians that have actually made it to the Olympics and compete in the Olympics. So, but that's what I recommend to coaches, and any one of them out there can call me, because I know the coaches in each area, and I can recommend the coaches they can send their athlete to.
Well, Coach, I truly appreciate you coming on the show and spending some time sharing some knowledge with us and what you do for our profession. What are some ways that coaches can stay up with you and stay up with what you got going on?
Well, I have a website, www.gailhatch.com. That's GAYLEHATCH, Gail Hatch, just like in Gail Sayers. And we have a Facebook called Gail Hatch Weightlifting Team Facebook, and they can keep up with what we're doing on that. It has my phone number, email, and don't be bashful. Call if you got a question, and we'll help you out. We'll help you get started.
Well, thanks so much, Coach. I appreciate it.
You're a great man. Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Okay, guys, a couple quick things before we let you go. Don't forget to check out eliteform.com and let them know how much you appreciate them for bringing this show to you for free and sponsoring Iron Game Chalk Talk. It was great talking with Coach Hatch today on the show. Please join me in the comments section at ronmckeefery.com, thanking Coach Hatch for coming on the show and sharing his information with us. All the show notes for this episode and the others with the links that were mentioned are on the site as well. While you're there, join the mailing list so that you get updates on new shows and anything else I have going on each week. If you haven't checked out strengthondemand.com yet, strength-ondemand.com, make sure you do so. It's a fantastic resource I know you'll love. Lastly, please subscribe to us on iTunes or YouTube, as well as leave a positive rating and review so that we can continue to bring this show to as many strength and conditioning coaches as possible. That's it for this week. Be sure to check back next week for another great episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk. Take care.